Hello everyone, I am your new friend. Here my new channel. It doesn't matter if you don't know me, but you must be familiar with my country. I am a native Chinese who come from mainland China. Nowadays it's very difficult to ignore China's influence on the world. It's very easy to find products which made in China on the shelves in most countries' supermarkets. In about more than half a century, the China has grown from a starving scrawny lamb into an industrial behemoth. Manufacturing value added accounts for about 30% of the world's total and has ranked first in the world for 14 consecutive years. However, as a Chinese, I definitely don't come to promote theories such as the China threat theory. On the contrary, I'd rather to say that most Chinese people have inborn qualities such as modesty, harmony, and friendliness engraved in our genes since birth. This is the purpose of making this video series. I hope to relate China's story from the perspective of history and culture. Also, thanks to the black myth Wukong that was popular throughout the universe a while ago, China's ancient mythological stories have received many people's attention. This is a country with a history of 5,000 years. I don't want people in other countries to focus only on what has happened in the last 50 years. I want to start with two European examples to illustrate the importance of culture itself. The 23rd of April is World Book Day, a date proposed by the Spanish government to the United Nations. Logically, many countries have their own excellent books and famous writers. Why did every post such a name? Cervantes, the author of the famous novel Don Quixote, the 23rd of April is the day he died. The year of his death was 1616. More than 20-some years before Cervantes' death, Spain's invincible armada had been defeated by England. Hence, its maritime hegemony in the world was also replaced by England, just as the defeated Spain didn't care about the poor Cervantes. The victorious England didn't care about a literate hiding in a small town either. This literate had fled back from the slander circle in London because of his works were so good that they caused a sensation, but he had no educational background, which aroused jealousy and led to an attack. After returning home, he kept his mouth shut. Even on his deathbed, his fellow villagers didn't know what he'd done outside. When it came time to sign the will, he shook his head and didn't sign. But who could have thought that, many years later, it was this unsigned name that became England's cultural flag to claim the world? Even those generals standing majestically on the ship had to admit that this name was more important than all the territories they had occupied. Yes, he was Shakespeare. He died on the 23rd of April, 1616, the same year, month, and day as Cervantes. Now, Spain's invincible armada was defeated by England. Spain's maritime hegemony disappeared, and then World War broke out, the so-called Never Sun September. The British Empire no longer stood at the top of the world. However, the names of Cervantes and Shakespeare have lasted longer than the glory of those generals. The stories, characters, and emotions they created have been passed down to this day and have become the best symbol of cultural power. This has led me to three conclusions. First, among all the forces in the world, culture is the softest and yet the strongest. When the princes and nobles of Cervantes and Shakespeare's era have long been forgotten, only their names and the stories, characters, emotions, and joys and sorrows they created are still being circulated in various countries and will always do. Second, culture can transcend hatred. When the two masters died, their countries were still opposed to each other, but they made all readers and viewers dissolve hatred, turn tears into laughter, and transform ugliness into beauty. Third, most outstanding cultural creators, like the above-mentioned Cervantes and Shakespeare, are in a sordid environment and endure slander and hardships. This seems to be a deliberate arrangement in the dark, like a jet-black background in a painting, making the bright light even brighter, lure its been insignificant. Culture is very important, and few people can deny this. However, people often avoid a fundamental question. That is, what is culture? What is the definition of culture? People have always been enthusiastic about culture related to memory. A white-haired history professor who can recite the death toll of a certain ancient war or state the exact birth and death years of a certain historical figure is surely regarded as an academic titan. But it already, the age of computers, the internet, big data, and artificial intelligence, why do we still need to prove the existence of culture through rote memorization when even a child can find out everything with a mouse click? If we leave memory-related matters to contemporary technology, what is left of culture? If we go out on the street and randomly ask a passerby what culture is, many people will blurt out, culture, isn't it just educational background? Isn't it just ancient poetry and prose? Isn't it just historical stories? These answers in some sense are not wrong, but they don't make sense when it comes to bigger issues. For example, in intercultural marriages, there is often a common reason for divorce: cultural differences. But if we ask carefully, men and women with the same educational background don't break up because they can't recite a few ancient poems or don't know a historical story. So what exactly are the cultural differences that determine the survival of a marriage? Besides the general definition of culture, what is Chinese culture about that I am to talk about? Many Chinese scholars take pride in the country's long history, seeing it as a significant advantage over many developed nations with shorter historical backgrounds. However, there are, indeed, other cultures, like the Babylonian and Egyptian, that are even more ancient than China, and their current situations are not particularly favorable. It can be seen that a long history doesn't necessarily mean a cultural advantage. So what exactly is the advantage of Chinese culture? Considering this is a rigorous knowledge channel, it is necessary to give a clear definition of culture. Let's have a short definition. My versions of culture is as follows. Culture is a spiritual value and lifestyle that has become a habit. Its final product is collective personality. Collective personality. This term was first put forward by Carl Gustav, a student of Freud. He took Goethe's work Faust as an example to illustrate that Faust is the symbol of the German collective personality. As Jung said, Faust is the symbol of the German collective personality, and in Chinese culture, our collective personality also reflects the 5,000 years of civilization deposits. This topic is very huge and will take a long time to conversation. I'm also very glad that you can listen to me until now. This issue is still a bit hollow. Starting from the next issue, I will lead you through history and legend to gradually answer several key questions. When did Chinese culture as a grand spiritual value and lifestyle start to emerge and take shape? What are its unique features compared to other civilizations? Next time, we will start from the origin of Chinese culture and unveil its mystery. Thank you for watching.